Okay guys, so after we saw how we can select from the DOM things and getting through with our query selectors and get element by ID and query selector all, now let's see how we can move through our DOM using the selectors. So this is actually called traversing the DOM. So moving through a DOM using child nodes, parent elements, children. These are all selectors which we can use to our advantage to select certain things in the DOM. So I will just show you that. Okay, so let's get started with, let me first of all create another file. Let's call this traversing the DOM. Okay, .js, and allow us go in our app. Let's close this up and let's create a variable called move. So I'm just going to initiate here variable, and I'm going to console log this move so we don't have to do this 100 times. Okay, it's not defined, but we're going to define it. First of all, let's get a const and let's give it the name of list. Now let's select something, document dot, let's use our query selector, and we're going to select from our document a UL, and from this UL a class with single selectors. Okay, so now let's console log this. We didn't get to learn about this until now, so let's console log list, and we got our UL. Okay, now let's also want to do something here. Let's create another const and let's assign this to list item. Okay, now I'm going to grab from the DOM using query selector all of the items. So I'm going to grab onto the allies with the classes of single element. Okay, let me just console log this so I'm sure I grabbed onto the right thing. List item. Okay, let's see. Okay, perfect. So these are both of the items, and this is only just one item. Okay, now let me type in here a comment, actually up here, of get child node. So let's see what this does. And now I'm going to use my move and assign it to list dot child node. This is how we get a child node. So this will return a node list. See down here? This is a node list. So we have a text. These text nodes right here, these are actually blank spaces within our HTML. So let me, so actually this breaks between two elements. Okay, so this right here are white spaces, and these are actually these text spaces. So let me close this up. Now the problem with this is that this returns also these text spaces, which, as I said, are those line breaks in our HTML. So let's just go ahead and say move list, and let's select a child node, and let's select the third one. So if we select this one, this will give us this text. Okay, now we could also do dot node name. Let's see what this gives us. It gives us exactly the name. And if I would ask it now for the node type, it would give me a number, 3. And this number actually means text node. There are, let's say if I would select, what was the second one? Let's just go with 1. If I would select the next one, that was an element, I believe. Let me actually comment this out and hit save. Okay, so let's take a look. Exactly. So we had 0, this text, and if I would select this number 1, which will be an element, I should get 1. So let's try this very quickly. So now if I said I get 3 because it's a text, and now if I select 1, then I also get 1, and this is an element. And let me actually paste something in here. depending on this, they don't go in a specific order, but depending on what you get is actually it. So 1 is an element, 2 is an attribute, 3 is a text node, we saw that, and 8 is a comment, 9 is a document type. And let me actually put in here a comment. Let's say here comment. Okay, so if I would select the the third one, well, let's try second one. So I should get 8 at a certain point. So save. No, there's a text node again. Yep, now I'm getting it. So now I'm selecting the 8th one, which is the comment now, as you can see, and it gives me 8. So I know that this is a comment. Up here we have a doc type and document type and doc type. So I would need to go completely up here and select this one. So this would be the parent of the HTML. Okay, so let's continue on. Let's continue on. Let's say we don't want this. We don't want the text nodes to appear. Now we got something else which is called children. So let's go down here and let's say we're gonna get the children element nodes. Okay, so let's reassign move to list dot children. So not children nodes, but children. So let's see what this gives me. Now this gives me an HTML collection. As you can see, we're missing those text nodes, and also the comment is missing. Okay, so if I would change this to text node again, so we have a node list. We have, you can see there's the comment on the third position. So this is why when I selected 3, it prompted me with 8, so that it was a comment. And we also have the length down here, which is 7, although we have only 2 elements in it. So this li and this li, and after that we have only text, comment, text. So these are just constantly those breakpoints. Now children, on the other hand, give me exactly the elements. So it gives me an HTML collection, and it has a length of 2, and we have only 2 nodes, 2 elements. So let's see what we can do with this. So exactly as we did up here, I could select, let me just copy this. I can select the first one, what that is 0, like an array, and this will give me the very first one. You can see if I hover over it, it gives me this one. I could select the next one. Okay, I could do, let's select the text content of it, and this would give me just query selector. Okay, this was our text content. If I go up to the next one, so to the first one, it would give me get element by ID. So this text right here. In here I could also change it. So let's say I want to change this. Let's assign this to the string of Norbert. Okay, so instead of we had, what do we had, yeah, get element by ID, and now we can change it to say Norbert. What else could we do in HTML? So I could completely replace it. Let's say move dot list, it's equal to list dot children, and let's say I want to replace now the first one dot inner HTML, and I'm going to replace it with, let's say I'm going to replace it with get element, too much else there, element by ID, and I'm going to create here input tag, which is just, I'm just making this up as I move along. And let's say that this input tag would have a type of checkbox. And we need to close this up. And let's hit save, and now we should have a checkbox. Yeah, we have a checkbox. Okay, so now let's try and get children of children. So I'm going to try now to get from this element this checkbox. So we're going to do move, no variable, and we're going to grab onto the list. So assign it to the list, and we're going to grab onto the child, the children. We are going to grab onto the first one, and within here I'm going to grab onto the children again. Okay, already if I hit save, you can see we're grabbing on to let's go to 0, and we're grabbing on to this. So I could take this now, and let's say I want to give it an ID. So I'll type in here ID is equal to check. Okay, so if I would hit save, and I did it underneath the console log. There we go. Now okay, so now I grab onto the check. Let's just take this out. Okay, so I grabbed on now to the checkbox. If I take this out, I'm going on to the li. So I want to grab onto the checkbox. So let's do a undo. So now I'm grabbing onto the input of checkbox. So from this, it's child. This is not this will be now its parent. And now I want to grab add to this an ID. So dot ID is equal to check. And if I hit save, I got the ID of check. So yeah, this is pretty cool, isn't it? Now we could also do, let's say, first child. So let's type in here. Let's say, just type in a comment, first child. So let's say we're going to grab on to move again to a variable, and we're going to assign to list and dot first child. Okay, so actually I have to have this console log down here. So we're getting this text node again. If I want to grab onto the first element, so not the text node, the first element, then I need to use list dot first element child. I'm gonna type in here backslash, so first element child. Now let's hit save. As you can see, I'm getting now the li again. We also have last child. So get last child. And exactly as above, we can get moved is equal to list dot last child, which will again give me the text. And if I want the element, then I have to grab onto the dot last element child. Okay, and this will give me the li, the last li, which is Norbert now. And again, we can modify it. That in an HTML is equal to, let's say, Laura. Okay, so we just modified it. This is exactly the same thing. Now let's see how we can grab onto parents. So let's say get parent node. So we're going to take our move and assign to list. We're going to use our list item now, finally. And we're going to type in parent node. Okay, so now let's hit save. As you can see, we will get the parent. We could also grab onto, let's say, move, list item, and we can select the parent element. Okay, so this will give me exactly the element. And we can also grab onto the parent of the parent. So in this case, I'm going to just copy this and type in again dot parent element. Okay, so this will send me up here, the DOM selector. So this is going to grab onto this entire thing. Okay, next up I'm going to show you how to get siblings. So get next sibling. So for this I'm going to take our move again and list items dot next sibling, which is the text node. And if we want to get element, then I'm going to use here next element sibling. Okay, and this would be now the li. And the same thing if we want the previous. So let's type in here another comment, get previous, just prev sibling. And it's the same thing as the next sibling, move list dot previous, and then type in here parenthesis, dot previous sibling, and of dot equal to list dot previous element sibling. Okay, and this gives me the element again. And I could also go even further, and for example here, once again, next element sibling. So this is actually the way that we can traverse the DOMs. As you can see, it is pretty easy. You just need a little bit of practice, but we'll get a lot of practice when we're going to get into our projects soon. So yeah, we just have a few more sections and then we're going to get into our projects. So see you soon. Bye-bye.